to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hey, Bethany.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
All right. Tell me something good.
I think my good thing this time is going to be about my youngest son because it's kind of entertaining. He got to go on a couple field trips recently with school.
Fun.
Yes. So he went to one of the colleges, and when he came back, he was telling us about all the cool things they got to do. Mm-hmm. And we were a little surprised, but he touched a hissing cockroach.
Nope.
That's kind of what we said. He was telling us all about how they make the hissing sound. It was a little fascinating. But guess the other thing he touched.
A snake.
No. It's big, and I think it's kind of hairy. And
Chewbacca.
A tarantula. Yes.
What field trip was this? Where did they go?
They were with the Gators. Gatesville.
Oh, go Gators. Yeah. Go Gators. Okay.
No, I couldn't believe it. And he said that like hardly any of the kids would do it, but he was one of the 4 in his group that actually touched this tarantula.
Ugh.
I know.
Have you ever been to the Florida Aquarium?
Yes.
Okay, so I've only been one time, and I just remember walking under this thing and all of a sudden hearing all this hissing. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're at the snakes. And then I was looking around and I was like, there are no snakes here. And then I was like, oh my gosh. And then you just look and they're cockroaches.
Everywhere.
And I was like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm not afraid of cockroaches. But like, no.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, he was very excited about it. So that's why it's my something good. My kids have an aptitude for math and science. They don't get that from me. Mm-hmm. But he is my kid who's a little more curious in like history and other things. So I think it was kind of fun for him to see what they're doing with other stuff. So like where science could also maybe lead him a little different from what his brothers might be looking at. So
very cool.
Yeah,
What a cool experience.
I thought so. He did call Grandma and tell her about it, and she was really funny. She said, I'm happy you enjoyed it, but if this is the route you take, I will not be visiting you at work.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
So what's good for you?
I'm really excited because this weekend I go on a little mini vacay. So I have my brother's getting married, and so we're doing a bachelorette weekend, and we're going to Asheville, North Carolina. I can say that because nobody can find me there. But it's going to be a good time. I think we're going to the Biltmore, which I've never done. We're going to a parade. I'm really excited.
I can't wait to see pictures.
I know, and I don't think it was supposed to snow, and now it's not snowing, and so I'm just really hoping that it does.
I really wanted you to be able to wear your boots. I think you can still wear them.
I know, I think I'm going to take them, but yeah. I was like, I just want snow. I just want a cute snow picture, to be honest. That's really the only reason.
I do think that's the New Yorker in me. You'll never get the boots out of me. Like, I'm a boot girl.
No, I love boots.
Yeah.
They're Florida boots, but I love boots.
They're not moon boots? Like
No. No. Okay. Well, we wanted to kind of add a little new piece into the podcast. So, Bethany, do you have any funny stories to share from this past month?
I mean, it was funny to my family.
So I feel like it'll be funny to us.
I think it's just going to show the extent of my book addiction is what it's going to be. So we were sitting on the couch as we normally do at the end of the day, just chilling out. And I was reading my book, and I only had maybe like 3 pages left. And my son was walking past where I keep my stack of like to be read books. Mm-hmm. And when I realized how close he was to him, and I realized how close I was to the end of my book, I yelled for his attention, and I said, hey, can you bring me the book on the top of the pile? And he's like, what? And my husband was mortified. He's like, are you serious that like you have to have something on deck because you have like 3 pages left? And I was like, well, yeah, because then I can just keep reading.
I love that.
So I was like, I couldn't even be between books. So it was a little horrifying and funny at the same time, but we had a good laugh about it. So that was it's a problem.
We love a good addiction. A good addiction.
Yeah.
That's a great addiction. Yeah, I said the right word.
I mean, I think it's a healthy addiction.
Yeah.
We'll call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not harming anybody.
What's your funny? I'm sure you can top mine.
Okay, so listen. You know how like news anchors, like that voice that news anchors have? Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried to like mimic it?
I'm not very good at doing voices, but I do know what you mean.
Oh, yeah, clearly neither am I.
Really, aside from like one of my favorite podcasts always has a joke where they're like, it's chaos down here, Tom. Oh. That's one of my favorite phrases. And then when they started saying it on the podcast, like it just cracks me up. But
okay, so I follow on TikTok, I follow several news anchors, and it's just so fascinating to me. like, just hear how quickly they can go into that mode.
Mm-hmm.
And people have even asked them, like, how do you do it? And they're like, I don't really know. Like, you just go to school, and then all of a sudden it just kind of starts happening. And so then I was like, well, I want to try to do a news, like, voice. So here I am getting ready for work one morning in my bedroom, and my dog's on the bed, and I'm just, like, I'm not even going to do it because it's horrible. It's awful. And so I start doing it, and my dog just looks at me and, like, literally huffs. She's like, huh, and leaves the room.
Everybody's a critic.
And leaves the room. And I was like, never have I felt so insecure in my life. And be like, all right, so I guess I'll stick to my day job. I was like, no future in news broadcasting. Got it. I was like, I'm not going to lie, my feelings were a little hurt. I was like, all right, Ginger, that's cool. So, yeah, that's my funny, mortifying / Sarah's insecurity story.
Well,
and my dog brought him out.
You tried it out. You gave it a go.
I really did. Oh, it was...
P.S. You're really good at your day job. I wouldn't stress about it too much.
Thanks. All right, well, let's go ahead and send it over to the desk of the city manager.
Okay, I am back over here at City Hall with our city manager, Rick Johnson. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. So, I want to know what's going on. I heard you were over at Depot 303.
I was. I actually just left a meeting about an hour ago with the architects and engineers, and we're just putting together the demo work for inside, and the architects are drawing up the plans. We're starting to zero in on that to start the construction inside for the different vending spaces for the restaurateurs that will be in there.
It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, we're getting really excited about it.
Now, if somebody is interested in potentially having a restaurant in there, are they able to contact us yet, or are we still waiting on that?
Well, they can. We have had some people reach out to us already, but we're not quite there yet, because what we're going to do is probably within the next month or two, we're going to begin to put out a sort of a more formal process for them to apply, and then if they're real serious about it, tell us what their needs are as far as exhaust systems, if they have like a brick oven pizza or a pizza oven, and if they are, they need a different type of grill or different electrical needs or whatever. So we're going to start designing for those spaces, but we'll have to have some sort of a more formal commitment from the different people for that.
Oh, that's going to be so cool. I can't wait to find out who ends up over there.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of people interested already, but it's very early stages at this point.
I get excited every time I drive by the building now.
Yep. I'll take you inside and let you look around.
Oh, that'd be great. So it is February, which is actually Black History Month. And so Sarah and I were wondering if you happen to have any like authors or musicians maybe that you'd like to highlight with us.
I'll tell you, probably one of my favorite authors that I have read that just pops into my mind is probably Geoffrey Canada. I think the first book as I read was Fist, Stick, Knife, Gun, which is autobiographical of him growing up and just the evolution of sort of how you used to be able to solve your problems with a fist fight in the inner city, and then it evolved into using a stick and then a knife and now a gun and everything. And just growing up, it's just very fascinating, and that's what he does now is he sort of works in inner city education and some of the solutions that he's come up with. It's fascinating stuff.
Wow, that does sound fascinating. I might have to look for that one.
You just have to say the title very slowly because you stumble over the words, and it sounds like you're saying something about fish sticks when you're saying it. So.
But now when you explain it, though, that totally makes sense. I get that now. That's really interesting. Okay. Well, and I know you're a music guy. Do you have any musicians maybe that you can think of?
Yeah, I am a music guy. I think probably if I were to pick one of my really early influences in music, not that I'm this old, although I am pretty old.
You're not old.
I'm pretty old, but probably Sam Cooke. I could just listen to Sam Cooke over and over. He's just got some amazing stuff, his romantic stuff and his gospel stuff. I could just listen to that all day long. Just puts me in the mood, just calms me down and sets the tone for a great day. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. I like that a lot. Very talented. Oh, thank you so much, Rick. We really appreciate it, and we will catch up with you again in March.
Outstanding. Thanks. Good seeing you.
You too.
Thanks so much, Rick. So this month is Black History Month, and we want to focus on Black authors from the kids section all the way up to adult fiction. So when researching this episode, we learned that approximately 6% of published authors are African Americans. Does that surprise you, Bethany?
It actually surprised me a lot because I feel like I read a pretty diverse group of authors, and I thought that a lot of them were, Black or African American, and I was very surprised by that number. It's very low.
Yeah, no, same. Looking back when researching for this episode, looking back on my Goodreads and what I've read, I was like, wow, that's it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed in myself.
I did realize, thinking more about it, that if I find one that I really like, one of the ones I'm going to talk about today, actually, I enjoyed her book so much that I went and read all of her other books. And so maybe that's why I feel like I've read a lot. But when in reality, I've just read all the books by a few.
Yeah.
So I think that might be more the reason.
Yeah. Well, at the end of this episode, I have a feeling that our readers will want to read more and will want to read more. So let's go ahead and jump in straight into the adult section. So what books did you bring to the table?
Well, this is my favorite section. This section gives me lots of feelings. The first one I wanted to bring to the table, though, I just finished recently, and I had so many feelings about it. It's called Homegoing, and the author's name is Yaa Gyasi. I think I pronounced that correctly. She's a Goodreads nominee for Best Historical Fiction from 2016, so there is a lot of people out there who love this author. She was born in Ghana and raised in Alabama. And I had read and loved her book Transcendent Kingdom.
Okay.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I was like, wow, her name sounds really familiar. Okay,
yeah.
that's
I
fine.
read that 2 years ago, I think it was. And it was so good, and it just really stayed with me. So when I finally got around to this one, this is actually her first novel. And there's a few people who work for the city who read it that just raved about it. And I was like, I'll get to it, I promise, It spans like multiple generations, so like 6 generations of families, and you would think it would be confusing because the book itself is constantly progressing forward, and each chapter is always a different character's perspective.
Oh, wow.
But it starts with these, 2 families, and so all of these people are descendants of the family, and so the story really, you're just carrying through with it, and it makes sense. I thought it would be confusing, but it was really effective the way she pieced it all together. And it takes you all the way from Ghana to Harlem to the South, and it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing, and I kept feeling like, this is so heavy, I need to set it down, and then I'd go to set it down, and I was like, no, I need to keep reading, and then I would pick it back up. I couldn't stop, and it was really hard to not cry while I was reading it. And I don't know if you remember the morning that I finished it. We did this full disclosure, guys. I work in a library. We did all of our opening stuff, and I had like 20 pages left, and it was quiet. And I was like, I have to finish this book. And so I sat down and I was reading it, and I was doing all my and then like the deep sigh, and I was trying not to cry. And I loved this book. I really don't know what else to say about it. It touches on everything from like the slave trade to slavery in the U.S., to people in the North who are supposed to be free right now but maybe aren't quite free, to people in the South who are being forced to work in the mines. And it just had so much in it. And my favorite quote from it was, weakness is treating someone as though they belong to you. Strength is knowing that everyone belongs to themselves.
I like that.
Yeah.
Was this the book that I was like, what's wrong? And you're like, I can't talk.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you were like, I'll cry.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I needed to digest this one. I feel like talking about it right now might not even be doing it justice. If you have any curiosity about it at all I can say is read it, or read her, even if you'd rather read Transcendent Kingdom. She knows how to write, and she knows how to tell a story.
I didn't read that one, but I think I definitely want to read both of those.
Yeah. I'm definitely
intrigued.
She's amazing. I really, really, really hope she writes more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fingers crossed. This is me reaching out to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have another one?
I do. So my other one is by Tayari Jones, and it's called An American Marriage.
Okay.
This is the one with the bluish
Yes.
cover. You remember this
Yes.
one? Okay. This is also a Goodreads nominee for Best Fiction 2018. And I just wanted to point some of that out because I know a lot of us love our Goodreads. We love to vote every year.
Yep.
It really is a big deal. And so this is not just me saying this is a good book. There's a lot of people out there who this touched them in whatever way. And Jones is actually an accomplished author and professor. I read this in 2018, according to my Goodreads, but I just remember how much I love the storytelling. There's 2 perspectives that you get in this book. Some of it is also told through letters. So there's newlyweds in the South. They have the American dream ahead of them. But the husband was arrested and sentenced for a crime he didn't commit. And he was sentenced to 12 years. And so, of course, they're writing the letters and stuff. Well, the wife seeks comfort in an old friend. And then his conviction is overturned 5 years later.
Wow.
And so, of course, the story continues. This is not a action-packed legal drama by any means. This is more about the exploration of relationships, about the character development, sometimes how circumstances beyond our control can change us, even if we don't want them to.
Yeah.
This one was very deep. It was very honest. I did it with one of my friends' books club. We had a great discussion about it. I really enjoyed it. And then I did have a quote from this one too. I put down, much of life is timing and circumstance. I see that now.
I like that.
I was like, oh,
Ooh,
so deep.
that's good.
So simple and so deep.
I may come to that one. May read it.
Yeah.
I just gotta make sure I'm in a good space.
I think that's important. Sometimes we do have to be in the right headspace for the right book. So even if you do maybe pick it up and you think, ooh, this is too heavy for right now, it doesn't mean don't ever read it.
Right.
Read something a little lighter, clear your head, and then come back to it because
Yes.
there's so many good books out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So the one that I'm going to bring to the table is actually one that Bethany recommended to me because she read it, and it's just so good. So we're going to take it over to the nonfiction adult section real quick, and it's called You'll Never Believe What Happened to Lacey, Crazy Stories About Racism, and that's by Amber Ruffin, I think I'm saying that last name right, and Lacey Lamar. So this book is a collection of experiences that Lacey went through living in Nebraska, and Amber and Lacey share these entertainingly horrifying stories through their laugh-out-loud sisterly banter. So it is truly an eye-opening book, and I was able to find out some facts about Amber Ruffin because if you didn't know, she's actually a comedian, a television host, a writer, and an actress. So literally a rock star.
She's super talented.
Yeah, so I did not know this, she became the first Black woman to write for a late night network talk show in the U.S., which was, I believe she still writes for the late night with Seth Meyers. And then a second book has been released, I did not know that, called The World Record Book of Racist Stories, and that was published actually last year in 2022. So I was like, well, now I gotta look for that one.
I'm actually surprised. I don't know if I've seen that one come around yet.
I have not.
Yeah. I might have to look for that.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So you read it, and of course, then I followed up, and I was like, I had to read it, and I think we've mentioned it in a podcast episode before.
I think so.
Pretty sure. But it's very truly eye-opening, and just, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great book for everybody to read. And
I appreciated that it was told with humor, but it was also very honest because it really did make you stop and think, about situations in life and other people, and just, I loved it.
Yeah, and then while I was reading it, part of me was like, I could do this better. There are things that I can do better. So, okay, so the second book that I'm going to mention is back to the fiction section for adults, and I'm reading this one right now, and it's On the Rooftop by Margaret, Wilkerson, Sexton. So that has been on my to-read list for a while, and I told our director, and she bought it, so I was extremely happy. So I am reading it. It is currently in my bag right next to me. I'm only about 100 pages in, and it's about 3 sisters that sing and dance together. And then when their big break comes, their mom is really excited for it, but the girls actually have some secrets, and they're turning into women, and their dreams don't line up with their mom's dreams. So I'm very interested to see where this is going. But I did find a couple fun facts about the author. So she's actually originally from New Orleans, however you say it. But she studied creative writing at Dartmouth and law at UC Berkeley.
Ooh.
So she real smart, y'all. She real smart. So, and she has, I didn't even list all the awards that she has won and been nominated for because it was crazy long, but I do highly recommend that you guys go on, and it's incredible. Her writing so far, I'm really enjoying it. And I'm excited to see where this book goes.
You know, just to bring it back to what we were saying a second ago, I remember when the book first came in, like when we processed it, and you were so excited.
Yeah.
And you read like 2 pages, and you were like, I can't right now.
Yeah.
Because weren't you doing like finals or something?
I think
you
so.
were not in a headspace for it.
Yeah.
And you returned it, and it went to a couple other people, and it came back, and now you're reading it.
Yes.
And you're loving it.
Yeah.
And that's like, just because this moment is not the right moment for you, like,
right.
come back to it later. That's what a TBR list is for. To be read.
Yes.
To be read when I'm ready.
Right.
I love that. I'm so happy you came back to it and you're enjoying it.
Me too. So, because if you don't know, like, I'm a huge music person. So I love stories with music, and I'll get to one later that we'll talk about. But I just love music. Like, literally, the past like week, I've just been listening to straight up Ella Fitzgerald, and that's it. So, and Nora Jones. So it's.
But every time we come to record the podcast, what do we have to listen to on the way?
We have to listen to Lizzo.
That's right.
And today we had to listen to Flowers by Miley Cyrus. So.
And I knew some of the Lizzo lyrics this time.
She did.
I've grown, guys.
Yes.
Growing.
We were bopping. And Meghan Trainor too. We had to listen to Meghan Trainor. Always. All right, so let's move on to our young adult section. So what you got?
So I could cheat and just go with our favorite, The Hate You Give and Concrete Rose, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm not going to. Okay. We need like some sort of, every time we mention those books, we're going to get like shocked or something. Like,
hey, we've done a really good job and haven't mentioned that one series.
True.
I'm not going to mention it.
No. It's like our own Voldemort, he who shall not be named. So this was actually kind of an easy one for me. I thought this was going to be hard, and as soon as I started writing down ideas, they just popped right out of me. But my first one, I have 2 for you for young adult.
Okay.
So my first one is Poet X.
Ooh.
Yes. So this is by Elizabeth Acevedo. I hope I pronounced that right. Also, Goodreads nominee for Best Poetry 2018. This is actually a book that is like poetry, like free verse. And we had done it at the library, I think, for a book club. It was one of the teen book club selections. Yeah. And so my kids were going to read it. And I was curious because I'm not the best when it comes to poetry. I'm learning. And so I decided I was going to read it with them. And I'm going to tell you right now, blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was 100% in. I absolutely loved it. So looking up our author, I found out that she's actually a National Poetry Slam champion. And it's super obvious when you read this book. And it follows her Afro-Latina heroine, who is just amazing. And like, I'm not a poetry professor. It's not always easy for me to follow. But in this book, I had no question. Like, you know, we're in Harlem. We see her struggle with religion, body acceptance, harassment, her interest in a boy that her family would not like approve of. And so much more. Like, I just absolutely love this book. And it's been a long time since I was a teenager, but I still had a lot of feelings about it. So, you know, I talked to my kids and stuff, and we had a great conversation. But you don't have to be from the same street to understand sometimes, or at least have empathy for somebody who maybe has been bullied or feels like they're being compared to other people. Sometimes we just feel tired. Like, there's just these things that I think happen to all of us at some point in our life. And this book did such a great job of highlighting and sharing that and making you feel less alone.
Yeah.
And I just really loved it.
Yeah.
She's talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, do you want my other one, or do you want to go?
No, go right ahead. Yeah.
Okay. My other one I know you love too. Because guess what, guys? Sarah told me to read this book.
Me?
And I read it in one sitting.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't stop.
So good.
I couldn't stop. It's called Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
Phenomenal.
Who I would have to say easily became one of my all-time favorite YA authors.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
For sure.
This book was also a Goodreads nominee for Best Poetry. Look at that. 2 poetry books.
Hey.
It's actually available as a novel and a graphic novel. It's also a book in verse, so poetry. But I loved this book. The main focus for Reynolds with his audience tends to be like young adult or maybe middle grade level. And I learned when I was like looking him up a little bit that he actually, tell me if this surprises you, he did not start reading until age 17.
Wow.
Yes. I was a little shocked. Like the way he writes and how he can connect with that age group, it shocked me to find out that he spent most of his life not reading. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
So this book takes place in an elevator. So Will basically, it starts off where he like gets a gun and he gets into the elevator and he's going to go avenge his brother's death. But as the elevator's going down, people are getting on the elevator and they have this like connection to his brother. So like another piece of the puzzle. And so the whole time Will is kind of questioning what he knows, what he should do. And so this book explores not just gun violence, but also the cycle of violence. And I think that's what was really powerful for me in this book, was just that it wasn't about this one simple, small thing. It was about the big picture.
Yeah.
And I think he did such a great job showing that. He was actually, I don't know if you knew this either, I just found this out the other day, but Jason Reynolds was the Library of Congress National Ambassador for Young People's Literature in January of 2020.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was reading a couple of articles and stuff with him, and I was just really impressed. And there's these pictures of him talking to these younger kids, and it was really beautiful. But he was actually quoted, I found this one that I really loved about why he writes for the younger generation. And it says, "I love these kids. I'm just here to bear witness to their lives because I believe that it is in bearing witness that everything is made real." And I just thought that was so sweet. But the other thing too that he said in one of his, that I don't know, it just made me fall in love with him. I think I'll read anything he's done. But it's, reading can make us emotionally strong as we experience the world without actually having to experience. And through that, we develop empathy.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
Wow, that's a great quote. Wow.
I know. And he didn't even start reading till he was 17.
Wow.
It's never too late, guys.
Never.
Never. I will say, I think the young adult section is a very untapped resource. I think there's a lot of great books in it.
For sure.
I mean,
for adults, yeah.
Haven't even tapped the surface. There were so many books on my list initially when I just started scribbling. And I'm like, oh, I love Jackson. Oh, I was just writing names. And I'm like, okay, no, you got to stop. Like, otherwise this podcast is going to be like 5 hours long.
Right.
So.
But hey, listen. It's okay. You can take commercial breaks. I'm kidding. All right. So the first one that I want to talk about from the young adult section is called Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson. Did you read that one?
I did not,
okay.
But I was skimming it a little. So good.
Okay. So I'm just going to give you actually what Goodreads says about it, because I feel like that's the best way to explain it. So when Nala Robertson reluctantly agrees to attend an open mic night for her cousin's sister friend, Imani's birthday, I believe I said that name right, she finds herself falling in instant love with Ty Brown, the MC. He's perfect, except Ty is an activist and is spending the summer putting on events for the community when Nala would rather watch movies and try out the new seasonal flavors at the local creamery. Same. In order to impress Ty, Nala tells a few tiny lies to have enough in common with him. And then as they spend more time together, sharing more of themselves, some of those lies get harder to keep up. As Nala falls deeper into keeping up with her lies and into love, she'll learn all the ways love is hard and how self-love is revolutionary. In Love is a Revolution, plus-size girls are beautiful and get the attention of the hot guys. The popular girl clique is not shallow but has strong convictions and substance. And the ultimate love story is not only about romance, but about how to show radical love to the people in your life, including yourself. So, I and immediately the cover drew my attention because absolutely beautiful. Like the people that are, like the characters that are on it, stunning. The artwork, just amazing. But the one thing I noticed, she is plus size. And I was like, I love that. I was like, I want to know more. So I did read it, and it was just, it's so great. But it's just a reminder of stay true to yourself.
Yeah. And
that's one of the messages that the author was getting across, is don't try to change yourself into who someone else wants you to be. Because years later, down the road,
self-love.
Yep.
If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it for yourself. But
she is also an award-winning author. Her young adult book called Piecing Me Together received Corita. Did I say that right? Coretta Scott King Award and Newbery Honor. And she has received several awards for both her children's picture books and novels for teens. And she has given readings and lectures at many places, including the United Nations, Library of Congress, and the U.S. Embassy in Japan and New Zealand. And I just think that's amazing. And her poetry and fiction centers around the experiences of Black girls and women and explores themes of home, identity, and the intersections of race, class, and gender. So it's, and I don't know that I don't know if she's a newer author, but she's a newer author for me. Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to look at more of her books. So the next book, Bethany said she wasn't going to talk about The Hate U Give and Concrete Rose, but guess what? I'm going to talk about her other book. So Angie Thomas has a book called On the Come Up, and I know that we mentioned it on a podcast before. And it's about a 16-year-old girl named Bree who wants to be one of the greatest rappers of all time, or at least make it out of her neighborhood one day. So the awards that Angie Thomas has received between 2019 and 2020 is, ready? It's a really long list. The Teen Buckeye Book Award, Boston Globe Horn Award nominee for fiction and poetry, Mississippi Institute of Art and Letters Award for youth literature, Kirkus Prize nominee for young readers literature, Goodreads Choice Award nominee for young adult fiction, and the Carnegie Medal nominee. So many.
That's awesome.
Phenomenal book. And what I love is she did not like, what's the right word I'm looking for? She didn't shy away from anything in this book, and I love that. So, fun fact, I did not know this. Angie Thomas is a former teen rapper.
I think I did know that.
I didn't.
I feel like when I initially read On the Come Up, I think that's when I learned that. But it's been a couple years, because when I read The Hate U Give, I was so obsessed with it I had to read her other stuff, and so I just continued with that one.
So we know her book The Hate U Give was made into a movie, but so was On the Come Up, and it's streaming now on Paramount Plus. And I actually watched it last night, and I loved it. One, I think all authors should be producers on their, like, if their book is made into a movie, they should be made a producer. Because, I don't know, I just feel like I understand that they sometimes authors like sell the rights, but part of me is also like, if you want to stay true to the story, let the author be in on it, because it's amazing. And so it stayed true to the book, and I love that. I love the actors that they had for everybody. I think they did a phenomenal job. And again, they didn't shy away. They just let everything out there. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was like, it was one of those movies that you watch and you're like, it's already over?
Yeah. Just like in a rap battle, you got to leave it all out there.
So, and listen, I'm not going to, like, they were good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. So, but there was a quote. I love quotes.
You know I do too. I've already given you how many.
So there's a quote from Angie Thomas, and it says, "I look at books as being a form of activism. Sometimes they'll show us a side of the world that we might not have known about." And I just love that.
See, and doesn't that go right around with, like, Reynolds saying how, the whole, you can experience the world without actually having to experience. And
yeah. And there was a couple times in the movie where when she's in a rap battle, she says something about Concrete Rose, and I just feel like that was a shout out to the book Concrete Rose.
You can say it, to the best prequel ever written.
Oh, so best prequel ever written, for sure.
One of our patrons just checked it out. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yesterday.
And I was like, not to tell you how to feel about this book, but
yeah. But just so you know.
Just so you know, it's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So middle grade. Do you have any middle grade books?
I do. So the first one, I was actually talking to my son about this one, but you know the new History Smashers series that we've been getting in? Mm-hmm. They're actually really cool.
Yeah.
So the series is called History Smashers. So they're in the nonfiction area of our teen room for, like, middle grade readers. But they have them for a bunch of different things. But the one I'm referring to today is the Underground Railroad. And the series is awesome because it's filled with, your facts and stuff, but it also has photos, or depending on the time period, maybe some cartoons and stuff. But my son, I brought a bunch of these home for him, and he was obsessed with them. And he was just, like, spouting off details. They're very well done. I think they're a really nice in between. They're a nice resource. I loved it. I don't really know what else to say about it. Yeah. I think it's a really great series, and I'm hoping that they continue rolling out more, kind of like there's another series I'm going to talk about in a minute when we get to the younger kids.
Okay.
This feels like a older version of that series, so a more grown up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that they will continue to grow it.
I like that.
As the other one has grown.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But my other one is an actual fiction book. So, you know The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right?
Yes.
You know Hilary Banks?
I'm like trying not to like burst into song. Yes.
Did you know she's an author?
No.
I was shocked.
What?
So I was browsing the teen room because I'm thinking to myself, what have I read over here lately that I want to talk about? And, you know, we have our little genre stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one kind of jumped out at me and I was like, who is this? And I pulled the book off and I opened the flap and there smiling at me is Hilary Banks.
Hello.
AKA Karen Parsons. And I had no idea she wrote a book. It's called How High the Moon. And she actually has another book coming out in May called Clouds Over California. So obviously I just said she was the actress from Fresh Prince. She played the cousin Hilary. But this book was very interesting, and it really showed the differences between the North and the South during the 40s. And so it focused a lot on the importance of like family, love, music, following your dreams, all of that stuff. But because the little girl in the book, she's living in the South with her grandparents, but her mom was up north kind of trying to make her dreams come true. And so the girl is living with her grandparents and like her cousin and stuff, you know, kind of extended family stepping in to help, right? Well, she gets to go up and visit her mom. And so now when she goes north, she's seeing the differences. So like the fact that she's allowed to share a water fountain. She's never been able to do that in the South. You know, all of these things. And the book did a really great job, though, of, I think, being able to show children of that age maybe some of the differences that were going on in that time period. But there's also a historical aspect to it in terms of being actual historical fiction. There's one character named George Stinney, and he is a real-life boy who was falsely accused and executed in 1944. So yeah, he was just a kid. So you know, there is that. Obviously, be aware if you were going to have your kid read it or whatever, that, you know, due to the historical time and context, there is also like a lynching, for instance, that's mentioned in it. But you know, depending on how old your kid is and stuff and what they may already know about history, that might not be. You know, it was very well done. I think I probably will read her other one. Again, super surprised, had no idea she wrote a book. I thought she did a great job with it. So I was curious and I read it in a day and I really enjoyed it.
Hey.
Yeah. So those are mine. What did you have for middle grade?
So I just have one book. And I actually did this for middle grade, or middle school book club a few years ago. I want to say at least one of your kids was in it.
Okay.
But it's The Watsons Go to Birmingham by Christopher Paul Curtis. And this book features 10-year-old Kenny and his family, who are considered the Weird Watsons. The family is going to visit their grandma, who lives in Birmingham, Alabama, during one of the darkest moments in America's history. So, fun fact, this was actually Christopher Paul Curtis's first book written, and it just kind of like blew up. It won a Newbery Honor Award, and I didn't realize that he is the same person that wrote Bud Not Buddy. So, and then this book was actually made into a television film in 2013, and we actually watched it when we did book club, and it was a television film. It was still really good, and just seeing through the eyes of a 10-year-old, just kind of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And not fully understanding it, because where they lived, and I want to say that they lived up north somewhere, and then they went and visited where they had to be a lot more cautious and a lot more careful. And so it's the same kind of thing. It just shows kind of the difference between the North and the South during that time. It was a great read, and I think it's a really good read, especially for kids, to kind of try to start seeing and learning.
Yeah.
So it was great. Honestly, I'll probably read it again soon.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Do you have any for the kids section?
I do. I love the kids section. Even though my kids have outgrown it, I still love it. So my first one, I'm going a little easy. You guys are probably going to be familiar with this, but you might not be familiar with the fact that it has been written for every age level, and that's Hidden Figures. We
So
know
good.
there's a wonderful movie out there. For anyone who doesn't feel like reading the book, you can watch the movie. But Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women in the space race by Margot Lee Setterly, I think. It's an incredible story. I mean, these women, like, would we have ever made it without them? I don't know. You know, it's such a phenomenal story, and
Yeah.
the picture book itself is beautiful. So, you know, I think initially it was written nonfiction for adults. It became a movie. Then they published the teen or the young adult version.
Yeah.
And then the picture book came out. So, of course, it's all rewritten a little bit for whatever the age level is, but they're all amazing. And the context, it's still, the content, is still there. And
Yeah.
it's a great story.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that's my favorite. But the other one, kind of along the lines of History Smashers, I wanted to give a nod out to the Who, What, Where, Was series. How many W's are in there
A
now?
lot. I think all of them.
Remember, I think it used to just be Who Was, but now
Yes,
there's like
What
was and Where Was.
And what is.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
This series is amazing.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was like this when you were in school, but when I was and we had to do projects, it was really hard to find a biography of somebody
Yes.
that was at your reading level
Right.
to write about.
Oh, I always had to use adult books.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. This series is, your kids can take AR tests on them. It's meant for like maybe ages 8 to 12, I think is what it officially is listed as. But they really have they've nailed it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I just love them. So, but in terms of Black History Month, off the top of my head, there is Harriet Tubman, there's Louis Armstrong, Booker T. Washington, Coretta Scott King, who you've mentioned a couple times with her award. I mean, are you interested in the Olympics? There's one on Simone Biles. Like, you can just read about anything. And the newest one, which I actually just processed yesterday because I saw that it was coming out, there's even one now for what was Reconstruction. So I'm like, that's so cool. Like, they just keep adding to this collection, and it's phenomenal. So, and you can get them in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to ask you to forgive my pronunciation because it might be wrong, but you could even pick up Quien Fu Nelson Mandela. Learn more about him, apartheid,
You did
whatever
great.
you need. I don't know if I said
I mean,
that
I
right.
can't, honestly, I don't know. But I think you did great.
But I think it's really cool that they also come in Spanish.
Yes.
And we do at our library, I know we actually own several of the Spanish ones as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you got for the kids' room?
All right, so I have Thank You, Amu, and that's by Ogi Mora. I think I said that name right. If not, it's in the show notes, so please forgive me. But Thank You, Amu, both books that I'm going to mention, I read for Storytime 2 weeks ago. But it's a sweet book about Amu who cooks stew for dinner and shares it with all of her neighbor friends when they smell the delicious aroma. And when it's time for dinner, the stew is gone, but the community comes together to bring dinner. And I just love how this author just literally brings the entire community together, and knowing that, like, just love on each other. And it's really sweet. And actually, in my second story time, I have a group of grandmothers that bring their grandkids, and they were like, who is this author? Like, we've never heard of this author. So that was a cool moment where I don't want to say I got to teach them, but they got to learn that this author, their parents originally, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's a woman or male author. I think it's, I'm getting like the illustrator and them confused, but the parents originally are from Nigeria. So
Okay.
It was cool to be like, well, that's where their roots are from. And so it was just
Yeah.
kind of a cool, like, learning moment for all of us. And it's a great read, really about community. So I love that. And then the second book is How to Read a Book by Kwame Alexander. Again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I... that book is full of color, and I love it.
Yeah.
Just all these bright, rich, just so amazing. And it's such a good read. So fun to read. And there's so many hidden gems seriously in awe because I was like, I didn't even realize we had that book.
Yeah.
And then when I was looking and researching for this podcast episode and just in general for story time for this month, and I was like, why did I not know we had this here?
Yeah.
Even though I remember flipping through it, but I just never realized. And it's so good, full of beautiful bright colors, like sunset depictions, and the pages are fun and different shapes, and so it was really good.
That's cool.
Yeah. So so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do. If you guys have stuff that you want us to read, like, please make sure you reach out to us too. We'll have a little thing in our closing about that, but I am always looking for new authors to try. And
yes, same.
So, or if you read any of these, I'd love to know your thoughts on them as well.
Yeah. Oh, this was a good episode.
It was really hard to narrow down to just a few.
So hard. And I think what I've learned from this is I need to look at Goodreads, and I need to pick up some of those books. I'm definitely interested in a few that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That I haven't read.
And if I have a takeaway from this, it's that I truly trust the Goodreads Choice Awards. Yeah. Whether you are a winner or a nominee, you are always a winner in my eyes.
There you go.
They know what they're doing over there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it was a great episode. And like Bethany mentioned, if we don't like... Oh, if we didn't mention something that you want us to read, like... We want to hear it.
Yeah.
We want to hear it. So you can email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. Ooh, crushed it.
Yeah, you did, but you know what you forgot?
Yes. What did I forget? What am I reading? Oh, that's because I already mentioned what I was reading.
You did, but I'm going to cheat a little bit on mine.
Okay.
It's not what I'm reading.
Ooh.
I want to talk about something my husband is reading.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt myself right now. I know we're doing the What Am I Reading Now? And I was going to talk about an author that my husband's really been enjoying, but I was afraid I wasn't going to do her justice. So instead, I'm going straight to the source. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Bethany.
Thank you so much for doing this today. We are celebrating Black History Month on this episode. And so I thought you could talk a little bit about an author that you have been reading lately. So do you want to go ahead and introduce her?
Sure. I've been reading N.K. Jemisin.
And how did you find N.K. Jemisin originally?
I actually stumbled across her in a article that was spotlighting sci-fi and fantasy authors, trying to get people to just, read some different ones. And as I was skimming through, it was a long list of people, and they just have the cover art as well as brief summaries of their works and stuff. And when I was looking through, hers kind of stood out to me, so I jotted myself a note and ended up revisiting later, and started off with the Broken Earth series, which was actually one of her award-winning ones. Like, she actually is the first author, I believe, to win a Hugo Award for all three of those books. And that was the 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, and The Stone Sky.
Okay, I will make sure I put those in the show notes. I do remember you reading them. I remember how much you seemed to be enjoying it.
Yeah, I've actually recommended it to several people since finishing it through. I kind of always tell people that it's extremely reductive, but a more mature version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, as funny as that sounds.
Oh, okay.
It was a really fun fantasy story. A dystopian future, very strong, interesting, and a lot of depth to the characters and the story. It kind of gripped me, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up burning through it actually way faster than I expected to. Usually it takes me a while to get through books, but I actually went through that one pretty quick.
I know you don't read the way that I do, but I do love to see you reading.
No, I consume at a much slower pace, for sure, yes.
Now, I did surprise you. I brought home, I found out she had another series because we just got the second book in, so I brought you the first. Now that's the Cities?
The City We Became, yeah. Okay. It's another, I don't know how long she plans on drawing this one out, but right now it's 2 books, which is another one that's very different story-wise. It's about a city that gains sentience, basically. Well, not just a city, but all cities, and it's so far very funky, and it's right up my alley, really.
Okay.
And it's got a quote from Neil Gaiman on the front, saying that how much he loved it, which doesn't surprise me. After getting through just a little bit, I can see why, because it's very much in the same wheelhouse of his kind of different fantasy style like settings, not exactly in his vein, but like similar to it, very similar feel to it and vibe.
Very cool. Well, I will make sure I put this in the show note, and I really do appreciate you doing this. I wanted to make sure that we gave her a little credit, since I have not actually read her, but I knew how much you've been enjoying her.
I mean, I don't know how much justice I did her, but for sure people should go out and check out her works, because she's a very good author. It's been fun.
I love it. Thank you so much for doing this. I love you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess that's it, since you already crushed the email address.
Thank you. I really had to think about it.
You did a good job, though.
Thank you.
I guess we can just close it out with a little happy reading, Mulberry.